to Southern Cross Church in 2019. I just wanted to start by showing you a photo. The photo you're seeing was taken in Mount Druitt, Sydney. It's taken in front of the kitchen, as you can see, right? This house was owned by the church that my dad was pastoring at the time. My parents had come to Australia in the 90s to secure a second passport, and around that time I was born. As you can see, I'm a baby in the photo with my two brothers, Jeremiah and Josiah. Jeremiah is the one that's holding me. Also, the person on the left, Josiah, he ends up playing a vital role in my conversion. It looks like a simple start in Australia, but shortly after, I was taken across the world and began to carry a lot of silence, a lot of struggle that remained hidden. I'm standing here today because I want to share how God took me on a journey through different countries, severe illness, and a deep isolation, and brought me back to Australia church family to give me a voice I didn't know I could have. I grew up in a Christian home where my father was the pastor. While faith was always present, it was very much a legalistic environment. My struggles began early, just a few years after that photo was taken. At 2 years old, my struggles became really noticeable, like there was something wrong with my development. My parents decided to send me to a speech pathologist because I wasn't talking at the time. I was diagnosed with alopecia, but the NHS medical system did no further studying at the time to find the root cause. And for years, we were left without the real answers. My life was a journey across borders from the UK to Israel and finally to the US in 1999. My mother did her absolute best to teach me through these transitions. And I realize now how much she sacrificed while navigating my health. But it wasn't easy at home. My parents argued constantly because of the situation with my health and help that I needed at the time. Everything was essentially fine when I was 11 and 12 years old. But once I hit 13, I hit a wall. I stopped growing physically, and I wasn't able to retain any new knowledge. At that time, my father wasn't any help, but thankfully, my brother Josiah and my older sister Hannah realized something was wrong, and it was their intervention that led to the diagnosis of my hypothyroidism. My body simply didn't have the fuel it needed to develop. Because I was very reliant on my father for my care, it was incredibly difficult when my medical needs weren't being met. In May 2018, I reached my absolute lowest point. I had run out of medication, and my body was starting to shut down. I was exhausted, taking naps for most of the days, dealing with the crushing 2-week headaches, and my legs were filled with a terrifying slithering pain. Because of the environment at home, it was incredibly difficult to get the medical support that I desperately needed. But God didn't leave me alone in that dark place. My brother Josiah yet again stepped in to help out financially so I could get the medication that I needed. Around that time, we were a piece of land that my dad had bought on the island of Nevis, working to clear it of small trees. At one of those moments when I was completely by myself on the land and physically and emotional weight became too much, I sat down on the rock and looked out and prayed for the Lord to intervene. I realized I didn't want to just live by rigid rules anymore. I needed to know God for who He truly is. I asked God for His help on that rock, even though the road got harder for a season before it got better. That was the exact moment my faith became my own. In 2019, God led me here to this church. He began to place legalism with a true sense of purpose. He met me in my physical weakness and showed me grace I hadn't known before. And just a few years ago, while I was attending this church, I was back seeing a speech pathologist, still refining my voice that started as a struggle in the UK. I'm standing here today no longer defined by the plateau or conflict of my past, by the restoration God continues to work in my life. Thank you. Thank you.